Good morning. I'm Sam Brotman with Brotman Law here to give you an overview of the IRS collection process for non-tax lawyers. I have a running joke with a lot of my family law attorney colleagues that I'm often the most popular person in their divorce cases. And the reason for that is because I'm solving a very, very complex issue that oftentimes the sides can't agree on, and most everybody hates their own lawyers. So as a general frame of reference, what we do as tax people is solve really particularly nasty problems that most people just don't want to deal with. But my goal here today is to give you an overview of the IRS collection process because it causes a lot of fear for people's clients, and to better inform you on how collections works within the IRS to dispel some of the myths and some of the preconceived stereotypes that you may have about how the IRS tends to operate. So, as part of the presentation, what I'll be covering today is kind of a general overview on how tax returns are filed and how balance dues occur within the IRS systems. From there, we're going to talk about the automated collection system process, or ACS. After that, I will cover what a revenue officer does, who these people are, what their job functions are, and how they operate within IRS collections. And then finally, we will be going over IRS collection resolutions and discussing the different methods of resolving tax liabilities, the pros and cons, and I will also be sharing you some stories that will kind of illustrate some of our examples today. So first of all, I want to talk about the benefits of understanding the IRS collection process for people who aren't tax attorneys and why that is particularly important. So tax is an area of law that is highly specialized. It is one that touches multiple areas of law. In my experience as a tax attorney, we have touched family court litigations, we've touched probate litigations, estate planning, we've touched civil litigation, business corporate transactions, and kind of a broad range of matters here and there. Understanding IRS collections is important because it's an issue that a lot of the times the clients really care about, and the clients are really focused on because it's a fairly serious issue. Large tax liabilities or the presence of the IRS, it creates fear and it creates doubt among clients who are uncertain as to how to navigate the waters. So a broader understanding of how collections works will help facilitate those conversations with your client, at least on a very basic level. It'll also help you identify how serious a tax problem is and how important that problem is, whether it's big deal, little deal, or no deal. And that's important as well because the client may be freaking out. I got a notice in the mail. What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? And you can tell them, look, this is a basic collection notice. It's not the end of the world. You've still got some time to deal with the problem reasonably before really, really bad things start to happen to you. It also will help you kind of frame who you're dealing with within the IRS collection system. The type of employee that you're dealing with, whether it is a IRS criminal special agent or whether it is a revenue officer or somebody from automated collection systems, the job title and the responsibilities of that person will help frame how serious the IRS is taking the problem or approaching the problem. It will also give you a basic framework on how to deal with that individual. We all have a job to do. We all have responsibilities and roles within our organizations. The IRS works pretty much the same way. Everybody who works for the IRS has a responsibility. If you know who that person is and what they do, you can help your client deal with them more effectively. One of the other goals of the presentation is to explain IRS collections on a very basic level. Because of the way collections is set up, there are a few different ways you can navigate through the process, whether choosing to do an installment agreement or a tax settlement, which is more commonly known as an offer in compromise, or any number of options in between. It's important you know those options so that you know sort of going in how to approach the problem with your client and what the different options for resolution are. Specifically, we will talk about the offer and compromise process, some of the myths that have been surrounding that program. You often see all those advertisements on TV that will settle your tax liability for pennies on the dollar. And while that's generally true, there are a couple caveats that you should be aware of and that you want to make sure that you can identify. And then probably the most important part for a non-tax lawyer is knowing whether the client is in a position to handle this problem themselves, whether you're in a position as a practitioner to kind of guide them through it. If the client is relying on a certified public accountant or bookkeeper, whether that person's qualified, and whether or not it can be something that is solved with self-help, or whether it is something that you really do need to call in a tax professional to really take advantage of.